right.
Yeah.
But that's a check against me, actually. And
Right.
especially if they
Right.
sit at the head of the table, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
this is that game you're saying. It's someone was I think there's a TED talk around this where both female VCs and male VCs often ask negative questions to female entrepreneurs,
Right.
and the opposite for men. For example, if it's a man, they will say, how are you going to grow the company? And if it's a woman, they will say, how are you going to prevent churn? Okay.
Right. I think I read that.
Yeah. So the trick
Mhm.
is to hear those questions, but answer them with the growth answer no matter what happens, right? So if someone said to me, how are you going to prevent churn? I'll say, I'll be growing the company by, to $5 million in 3 years by these ways, right?
Yeah.
And that's a weird head trick, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And no one tells you these things either, Adi. You have to learn them on the way. There's not a handbook that says this is how you play the game, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, that the way that young men are relating to each other is a way to train them, like
Mhm.
when you have like two small lions, like puppies,
Right.
lions,
Yeah.
they have this rough play all the time, so they can handle the fight. I
For
think,
later. Yeah.
yeah, so they know how to do it much better than when you're thinking about 15, 16, 17 years old
Yeah.
girls. They would be collaborating, they would
Yeah.
gossip, they would do things together, and they would not step on each other,
No,
not
that
virtually
sounds
enough.
so weird. Oh my god.
And
And they
I
wouldn't
think,
even let each other do that. I mean, like no girl would like be willing to.
yeah, why would you?
Yeah.
And I think that it's a small story, but I don't think it's that small. I think it's the way that they handle the world and the way they understand, like men in general, they see hierarchy, they see
Mm,
this pyramid, and women usually see a net when they're coming into a situation which is social.
mhm.
And when you're thinking about being the best or getting more money or winning, as a fund, winning more of the great deals that will come and be a unicorn,
Mm,
it's a very specific hierarchy of a situation which is clearly not a collaboration.
that's right.
It's not a net and it's not equal. It's like they're winning and losing very, very obviously.
Yes. Um, so on that note, a male entrepreneur that I love and respect was helping me with something the other day, and he said, I wrote this down on a sticky note on my desk here. He said, the more you explain yourself, the less confident you sound.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I
Isn't
totally
that
understand that.
like, and that is such a woman thing. Every woman I know goes deep into the explanation because it's interesting. We think the story matters, how we got here. It all is relevant, right? But
Yeah.
but
But I think that we have to admit that if you would say the same word as a woman and the same word as a male entrepreneur, you would sound and be related to differently.
yeah, you're a bitch.
Yeah, and
I'm a
if
bitch a lot.
if you're a male, you know the details, you know how to go and go about and really create something. You're practical. I
Yeah.
know exactly what would be the way that they would see that, but they would see it differently, and it's a challenge to relate to that. So, what do I want to say? How do I want to sound? How would they see me? What
Mhm.
is the right thing to do? Would it, if somebody, let's say, a man would say, I'm not sure, I would check. It sounds very humble and trustful. And I don't know what would they think if you would say, I don't know, I would
Right. The
check.
honesty. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a question. So we talked about the bad part of being an entrepreneur. So what is your favorite part of being an entrepreneur?
My favorite part is I think a lot about the movie Modern Times with Charlie Chaplin. And at the time, that was commentary on the factories, right? So they were building cars in this movie. And the commentary was there's no reward because you never get to see a final product if you're just a cog in the machine, right? it's the opposite for me, because we can very quickly see what customers like or don't like, fix it, iterate, launch, and then do it again. And so it is so much fun for me to do that, in part because the problem solving is what I like to do, but it's also because of my team. I love working. Jason is one of my co-founders, and this is working on the product is something we do very well together. So there's a collaborative kind of effort, and it's rewarding. Like you're doing something together. The conversation, oh, I got the idea, or we're just we call it vomit. So we just vomit out all of our bad ideas, because someone's going to find the right one in there somewhere, right? And that
Yeah.
that knowledge, and that I'm going to call it the sort of liberation of genuinely being able to throw out terrible ideas with someone else, knowing that you're not going to be judged for it in any way, but that both people have the same end goal, which is to find an answer, solve the problem, right? I find that incredibly rewarding and fun.
Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying, and I think that another thing that we could see is the creation of something. That it was only an idea, and now it's like helping people do something that they need. It's so substantially like, yeah, I've done that. That's my creation,
Yeah,
and it's so much.
there's
You feel
pride in
so
it.
yeah, you're proud and content by but what you've done. Yeah, I've done that, right? And I think that is so important to really enjoy. You got these talents and skills and experience in your life, and just to put them like in the world, put them out in the world, and see what is like is the possibilities is so, this is life, not just waiting for things to happen, right?
Yeah, it's very human defining, right? It really makes me feel as though, like, I really believe that the not becoming perfect, but the aspiration to perfect is a human endeavor. It's why we get up every day. Do it better. Get better.
Hmm.
Something better. Build a better AI platform. Have a better body. Eat better. Have a better relationship with your husband. Whatever it is, like, just do it better. And that's the stuff that makes life, as you're saying, right? It's very simple, maybe a little corny or cliche.
Yeah.
When you're not aspiring for, then you're, that's deep depression, right? Or
Yeah,
worse.
it's like stagnation. It's not moving. It's like starting to die,
Yeah,
more or
yeah,
less.